And Kaagaz Ke Phool, I remember you mentioned that it didn't do well commercially, but
Right.
even now it's regarded as a very good film.
yeah.
And if you get a chance to see it, it would be nice, for our audience to go and rent all these movies, and hopefully they'll be screened sometime soon in the Bay
I
Area
hope
again.
So too.
Yeah.
I hope so too. See, Kaagaz Ke Phool was a film which he had wanted to do since a very long time. In fact, the first time he ever narrated, I've spoken to Mr. Shammi Kapoor. He's in those days, people used to visit each other,
Yes.
help each other. It was more the entire film fraternity was more like a family. So they used to go and meet each other. So Shami ji, my father was very fond of badminton. So he used to come to the studio and they used to play badminton.
Okay.
But even before he had his own studio, he had narrated Kaagaz Ke Phool to him, Shami ji and Geeta Bali, who he had married, on the steps of famous studio where he had his office.
Okay.
And Geeta ji had loved the film so much that she had broken down into tears. This is Shami ji has told me about this. Yeah.
Okay.
वक्त ने किया क्या हंसी सितम तुम रहे न तुम हम रहे न हम वक्त ने किया क्या हंसी सितम तुम रहे न तुम हम रहे न हम वक्त ने किया बेकरार दिल इस तरह मिले जिस तरह कभी हम जुदा न थे बेकरार दिल इस तरह मिले जिस तरह कभी हम जुदा न थे तुम भी खो गए हम भी खो गए एक राह पर चल के दो कदम वक्त ने किया क्या हंसी सितम तुम रहे न तुम हम रहे न हम वक्त ने किया जाएंगे कहाँ सूझता नहीं चल पड़े मगर रास्ता नहीं जाएंगे कहाँ सूझता नहीं चल पड़े मगर रास्ता नहीं क्या तलाश है कुछ पता नहीं बुन रहे हैं दिल ख्वाब दम बदम वक्त ने किया क्या हंसी सितम तुम रहे न तुम हम रहे न हम वक्त ने किया
Can you talk about the Guru Dutt lens specifically? What is the Guru Dutt lens?
See, my father was very fond of long focal length lenses like 75, 100, 150. It was he used to use that very often while in the the cinema of his time, in the contemporary cinema of his time, people used more of wide-angle lenses because wide-angle lenses were much easier to handle. You do not have to keep so much be so conscious of the focus and things like that. But my father preferred big, large focal length lenses, so he concentrated on that, and he used to keep on telling Mr. Murthy that I want a shot in 75 or 100 in this. So after he passed away, when Mr. Murthy started working for other people and other filmmakers, so they used to come out and say that we want that shot in the Guru Dutt lens type. Wow. So it basically your 75 to 150 was considered as Guru Dutt lenses.
Yeah. You had mentioned earlier that that your father was a director, and he has been a director and a producer, but he was also an actor.
Right.
And so was there some discomfort in acting, and who were some of the actors that were supposed to be in films and that were replaced by him or other people? How did that come about?
See, he was very reluctant as an actor. He never really wanted to act. The first film he ever acted in was Baz. And that was basically financial necessity. They could not afford a hero. So at that time, Mr. Kane Singh, who was a good friend of my father's, he one day took him and said, "Let me go take you to a photographer." And he got pictures taken of his. And he came, and Geeta Baliji's sister, elder sister, was one of the co-producers of the film. So he went and showed the pictures to them. And first they couldn't believe, because my father had very thick eyeglasses, lenses, and so they just could not believe it was his photographs. And then they decided, no, he'll only become the hero. So he did that very reluctantly. And even his other films, like in Our Par, initially he wanted to cast Shammi Kapoor, but something didn't work out with the dates and things like that. So again he donned the makeup and took over the role. Then in Pyasa, initially he wanted to cast Dilip Saab, Mr. Dilip Kumar. But Dilip Saab, it didn't work out really. Dilip Saab felt that the role was very close to Devdas, which had just released, and he didn't want to do a similar sort of a role. Some say that there was a financial disagreement between them. So I don't know exactly what is the truth, but it didn't work out. And after Pyasa, basically Kagaz Ke Phool was a role which he really wanted to do, because it was a semi-autobiographical film. So I don't think anybody was really cast for that. But for Sahab Bibi Aur Ghulam, initially he wanted Mr. Shashi Kapoor to do that character.
Okay, wow. Yeah, that was a very nice film. And I mean, aajkal to all women have male friends. It's such a common thing. But when my mom was just telling me, she said that she saw the movie several times, and she still couldn't understand why Meena Kumari is killed. So we were all trying to कि हुआ क्या उसको,
She was killed by the family, that is shown. In fact, that is he used Mr. Sapru, who was very well known for his dialogue delivery and his voice. And if you watch Sahab Bibi Aur Ghulam, Mr. Sapru has spoken only 1 or 2 lines in the entire film, which is very unusual to take him. But because of his presence and his the way he appears in the film, he, without speaking, just speaking a line or 2 in the entire film, he looks so convincing as a zamindar.
बड़े शर्मीले मालूम होते हो तुम।
जी।
वो सब तो तुम्हें साले बाबू कहते हैं, मैं तुम्हें क्या कहूँ?
भूतनाथ।
भूतनाथ?
हमारे पिताजी ने हमारा नाम रखा था अतुल्य चक्रवर्ती, पर उनके मरने के बाद सब हमें बुआजी वाले नाम से बुलाते हैं, भूतनाथ।
हाँ हाँ, क्यों नहीं, बड़ा ही सुंदर नाम है भूतनाथ।
जी।
चकरा क्यों गए? मैं तो तुम्हें भूतनाथ ही कहूंगी, भगवान के कई नामों में से एक है वो तो। और मुझे छोटी बहू कह सकते हो।
The greatest contribution that I think he made to Bombay films was that he began to stress
वो प्रसाद
the
रखते हैं।
roles played by women.